ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandment and has commanded us to be engaged of Torah. O Lord our God, we ask that you make the words of your Torah sweet in our mouth and in the mouths of your entire people of the house of Israel. May we, our descendant, and the descendants of your people of the house of greater Israel, know your name and study your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, O Lord, who teaches Torah to his people. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who chose us from all peoples to give us his Torah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, giver of the Torah. So, we remember we went through the first three constellations and their friends, right? It's going to go a bit faster now because I've already laid the ground on many preliminaries and things. But what we have from those first three constellations that are the first three constellations of the first book of four constellations, what we have is a child born from a virgin, a child who is double-natured, becomes a harvester at the end of time. And this is done because he equalized the scales for us by voluntarily laying down his life for our sins, because he didn't have any. And that was done by the scorpion, a scorpion killing him, sending him to his death. But that's not the end of the story, because as we saw in the scorpion, the serpent is controlled by somebody. So the next one that we will see right now is Sagittarius. The fourth one is the archer. The archer. And I want to see what's the next one here. Okay, yes, he's the archer. The word Sagitta, as in Sagittarius, means arrow. And we see in him the arrow of Revelations 6, where it says, "And I looked down, and there was in front of me a white horse. Its rider had a bow and given a crown. He rode off as a conqueror to conquer." You know, we all know the word Torah, which refers to technically the 5 first books of Moses, but today is used widely as the whole Tanakh. But the word Torah is derived from a 3-letter combination that was often used in the term of archery, yareh. Yareh means to shoot an arrow in order to hit a mark. So the word Torah has several things it has to do from teaching, but also hitting the mark. So the mark, a target, that's to hit the mark, which makes sin missing the mark. So, and what is the mark of this archer? So I hope you can see this bigger one here. You see the archer down in the middle. He's got his quiver. What is he hitting at? The scorpion. And again, just to remind, the names and this art was not done like dot to dot to try to make a story. The pictures, the art was made in accordance with what was known already as the names of the stars. So each star, the star that marks the end, that are in the arrow, all these things that tell the story. And these names, maybe it's from Seth, he got them, somebody. So basically, to observe Torah is to hit the mark. To sin is to miss the mark. So let's look at his friends. This archer, he's got friends too. Everybody has 3 friends in the story. So we see the archer. So there's the moon there. It's just because at the time that picture was taken, the moon was there. It moves. The whole thing moves. But he's got 3 friends. So one to the bottom left is a harp, musical instrument. And to its right, you have an altar falling down, an altar upside down. And then you have a falling dragon, the falling snake dragon. But the idea is that he's falling. And again, it's from the names of the stars that this is derived. So what about the lyra? Lyra, Lyra, or lyra, lyre, okay. In truth, I don't know. Musical instrument to play music. David was I think the most prolific Messianic prophet. Much of his prophecies are about Messiah, and he was a musician. He played this instrument, the harp, the lyre. His songs were mostly prophecies about the work of Messiah. His psalms actually became the liturgy of the temple, which until these days are used in synagogues worldwide. If you look at the Siddur, a Jewish prayer book, a lot of it is psalms. People go to the wall, pray with the psalms. Psalms are excellent prayers. David was a man of common passions. Passions that are common to us. So his prayers can be said that they reflect very well a lot of our own feelings and sentiments. I pray using these words. He prays like a man who knows his sin. So, now, what about this music there? Judaism teaches that there are 10 main songs that tell the story of Israel. 10 main songs. I think I made a list here. Yes. So there is a song of Shabbat, Psalm 5, and also 92. Okay, I'll read from the list here. Then there's a song at the sea. That's when the sea closed, and it says Moses burst out in song. I would have loved to hear that song, And today we think of a song as maybe something with music and notes, but the word shir in Hebrew is also the word poetry. It's a poem. So, but we know that there was tambourines going on and dancing and stuff like that. So, then there is the song of the well. This is a story that has to do with the victory Israel had in the desert, something having to do with Miriam. The song of Hazinu, sorry for the typo. I did this late last night. Hazinu is actually Deuteronomy 32. The song that Moshe wrote before he died as a testimony against Israel. That's Hazinu, Parasha Hazinu, Deuteronomy 32. Then the song of Joshua. After a certain victory, he sang a song. All these military leaders sang. You know, this is amazing. The song of Deborah and Barak. We can read that also in the book of Judges. Then the song of Hannah, and I think there is a typo there too. It's a song that she prayed after God answered her prayer to have a child, Samuel. And then there was a song at the inauguration of the temple. And all these stories are related to the coming of Messiah. All these stories, you can make a class with this story leading to Messiah. So, the inauguration of the temple, that's with King Solomon. Then, of course, the Song of Songs, which is a Song of Songs is pretty amazing, but when we read it in English, we can get really lost in the pronouns. Because in English, the word you can be masculine, feminine, singular, plural, a personal subject, a personal pronoun, or a direct object pronoun. I'm a teacher, sorry. Because I teach language, I have to teach English too. Most people I teach Hebrew too, I have to teach them English grammar. Not too bad for a Frenchman, right? So the word you, the word they, oh my gosh. Masculine or feminine? If it's not told, you don't know. We only have he or she in English. At least we have that. You know, but I, what? I. You say I speak, you say I speak. I don't know who that is. Guy or girl? You know, so, but in Hebrew, oh boy, the Hebrew brings the revelation because you have masculine, feminine, singular, plural. And sometimes you see that you is a bunch of people, and you even know if it's a bunch of guys or a bunch of girls that you're talking to because of the verbs, the way they are used. So when you read the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, in Hebrew, you get the sense that it's an opera where there are groups of people singing this and answering this. He wrote a beautiful poetry about the relationship of Israel / the congregation / the body of Messiah with God. That's what the song is all about. You know, so, and there is a lot in there. There is somebody who did a very nice class on it, gives you all the details. Again, its name is Mark Biltz, whom I told you has a very good series on the feasts of the Lord too. And you can get his paper, and he's got it all. It's very nicely done. He's from El Shaddai Ministries. And there is even a part where you can see Messiah. He says the Shulamite, she's sleeping. She's asleep. And he knocks. And you know the door is the door of the heart. It only opens from the inside. You know, nobody can force him. So he says she's asleep. And while he's knocking, she says, oh, no. This is what the song goes. Just got to bed here. I washed my feet and everything. Am I going to get up now? But while she procrastinates until she says, okay, my beloved's at the door. I'll go open the door. Well, that doesn't sound nice, really, you know. By the time she did that, he was gone. And what does it say? In the song it says, and there was the smell or the fragrance of myrrh. Myrrh is a spice that's used for dead bodies. That's something those wise men there brought to Yeshua. You know, and then he went, and then she went to the streets. She said, where is my beloved? Have you seen my beloved? Then people started beating her up. That's the story of Israel. Missing the day of her visitation, as Yeshua says. And then going into the street, and everybody and the world start beating her up. It's a very intense prophecy, messianic prophecy, the whole song. You know, so anyway, So that's the 9th one. Now, the song number 10 hasn't been sang yet. It's the song of Messiah, which we find in Revelation 15, where there was a whole bunch of people who were singing the song of Moshe, the servant of God, and the song of the... Notice, they were not just singing the song of Messiah. Yeah, Messiah, forget Moshe, the law, we don't care anymore. They were singing the song of Moshe. The song of Moshe is Deuteronomy 32. That's his song. And Deuteronomy 32 tells him everything that will happen if the Torah is not obeyed, and everything that will happen if the Torah is obeyed. It's a testimony to stand against Israel, so that every generation knows. So all these people at the end of time in Revelation, they were singing both the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. Both. Not just the song of the Lamb. And here's we have some lyrics given to us. Here, great and wonderful are the things you have done, Adonai, God of heaven's armies. Just and true are your ways, King of the nations. And Exodus 15:1 is where the song of Moshe is. It says, then Moshe and the people of Israel sang this song to Adonai. I will sing to Adonai, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he threw in the sea. That's only some words. Or maybe they just repeated that. That says the whole story. So here we see the lyre here as the lyre of the archer as a victory, and he aimed his arrow at the scorpion, at the enemy. But what's the next one? Okay, let's see, do I have it? Yeah, is the altar upside down. Now, if I were to take an altar that has flames and turn it upside down, it would be a dangerous thing to do, right? Well, this is having to do with Revelation 8:5. See, I told you before, the whole book of Revelation is all about Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Tabernacles, just like the whole story of the death and resurrection of Yeshua. It's all about Passover and the spring feasts. Revelation is about the second coming, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Tabernacles. So it says here, Revelation 8:5, then the angel took the incense bowl, it's an incense of altar of incense, and filled it from the altar and threw it down onto the earth. The altar of incense represents prayers. So whatever you want it to mean, that it threw the coals of the prayers, and there followed peals of thunder, voices, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. When I read this, I think Mount Horeb. Same wording, what happened at Mount Sinai when they gave the Torah. Peals of thunder, voice like kolot of the shofar, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. This also sounds a bit like a judgment from the altar. Judgment from the altar. Then we have our next one, the dragon, the falling serpent or dragon. No. Here we have the three. So, and here we have that goes with. Okay, I didn't write it. It's Revelation 12:9. The great dragon was thrown out. That ancient serpent, also known as the devil. And Satan, the adversary, the deceiver of the whole world, he was hurled down to the earth, and his angels were hurled down with him. So this is Revelation 12. In Revelation 12, what we have that picture I showed you before with the virgin and she's going to be give birth to the child, and there is a serpent waiting for that child. We know the story. And then the Revelation 12, it gives that same picture, but then it says that the child was taken into heaven. That's Revelation 12. The dragon was thrown down, and he was going to persecute the seed of the woman. And the last verse of Revelation 12 tells us exactly who is that seed. It's very important, I think, at least. The last verse of Revelation 12 says this. It describes the seed as those who keep God's commandment. I would like somebody to read, and the Lamb. If somebody has Revelation 12, the last verse, so you can read it out loud, the last verse. Yeah, thank you, sir. The seed are people who keep the commandments of God, Torah observant, and are sealed with the Lamb. Torah observant people. Torah observant believers. I think in our day and age, these people are called Messianic. You know, when you use the term Messianic, it refers to people who it means the same as Christian, really. Just Christian comes from the Greek, Christos. Messianic comes from the Hebrew, Messiah. That's it, Mashiach. So, Messianics are people who keep the commandment of God. I mean, we all try, we strive, we learn, as well as have the seal of Messiah on us. That's the seed of the woman through the work of the son that she had. So the serpent is cast down, and again, the art was inspired by the names of the stars. And I'll show you the book is over. You can take a picture. I have the book here on that table. But like as I said, it's not an easy read. So hey. We're done. Today we're reading the last Parasha of the cycle. We read the first book. We went through the first volume of 4 constellations. Yes! That was all about the first coming, the first Redeemer. That was all about that. Okay, and in the end, he gets the victory. Okay, it's a story that ends well. I don't know if you use that expression in English, a movie that ends, in French you say it ends in a fishtail. I don't know, a bad ending, sad, but the story here ends well, so let's go to volume 2. Volume 2, so this is actually volume 2. We have 4 more constellations. So we have Capricornus, Aquarius, Pisces, and the Ram. So this is all about the congregation, Israel, the Kehillah, the body of Messiah, the people of God, old and new, ancient and modern. And I'd like you to see that the order it starts with a goat, ends with a ram. 2 animals of sacrifice. 2 sacrificial animals. Starts with a goat and ends with a ram. But this goat is not just a goat. Come on. It's a sea goat. Do you see the middle picture at the bottom? It's a goat and a fish. Whoa, it's getting weird here. It's a goat and a fish. Why is that? So in Leviticus 16, let's see, what do I have here? Okay, and these are his friends. These are his friends. Oh, Capricornus, Sagittarius, the arrow. Okay, these are his friends. Okay, so, oh, come on, here. So, in Leviticus 16, we read that Aaron and Moses are said to use a goat. The high priest cast lots over 2 goats, and one becomes a sacrifice for Hashem on the altar, and the other one is said to be for Azazel. This one will be sent out in the wilderness or thrown off a cliff. So it's called the scapegoat. A scapegoat, like, it's a term in English. A scapegoat is somebody, you put the blame on somebody just because you need somebody needs to blame, but maybe they're not the guilty ones. An innocent person to whom the guilt is inflicted. So that goat did nothing wrong in the world, just acted like a goat. If you're a goat, it's not wrong to act like a goat. You're supposed to. If you're an animal, you act like an animal, you're supposed to. Animals live by instinct. We are supposed to live by choice. As children of light, children of God, we're supposed to live in the light, live in God. But very often we don't make that choice and we live by instinct, the instinct of greed, pride, revenge, lust, and all that bad stuff. Instead of living by humility, generosity, forgiving, like we're supposed to by choice. If a goat doesn't forgive, it's just a goat. But us, we know better. So basically that goat who's done nothing wrong in the world is thrown off a cliff for the sins of the people. The goat says, oh boy, I wish I were born a chicken. So, but maybe not. Because the goat knows, well, as a goat, I'm born a goat. I know I'm going to end up something like that someday. It's maybe baby goats get that teaching from their parents. Now, look, this is what's going to happen to you, maybe. I don't know. So, but in the Torah, the sacrifices, unless it is specified, it could be a lamb or a goat. It doesn't matter. But for Yom Kippur, they chose a goat. So, but Yeshua, he is the original offering. If you remember, we talked about he was the lamb slain from before the foundation of the world. Okay, do you know where to find that? It's Revelation 13:8. Okay, so Yom Kippur worked because it was done in reference to that. There was a sacrifice made ahead of time. This is why the symbols we use worked. And I talked to you on the first lesson second one, how the little red thread that they put on the goat, that was the scapegoat, they put a piece of it on the temple doors and at the top of the cliff before they threw the goat. And that would miraculously turn white. It's not thread, it's wool, yarn. And yarn dyed red can never turn white completely. So this is why it says, though your sins be as scarlet, they will be turned white as snow. A miracle. And so that was a miracle. And those stories are found in the Talmud. It's also found that since 40 years before the 40 years before the destruction of the temple, that stopped happening. What happened 40 years before the destruction of the temple? Yeshua's crucifixion and resurrection. So these are Talmud stories. So let's get back to our sea goat. Yeshua, he taught, unless a grain of wheat that falls into the ground dies, he talked about himself. It stays just a grain. But if it dies, it produces a big harvest, life coming from death. Multiplied life. That's what Yeshua said. Unless a grain of wheat, he said about himself, falls into the ground, dies, it stays just a grain. But if it dies, it produces a big harvest. And what do we see? In the days of Yeshua, 12 disciples, there was quite a few other people who believed in him. But after his death and resurrection, the movement exploded. People sometimes they think in the book of Acts that the Christians, the believers were all hiding from the ropes. You're kidding? No less than between Passover and Pentecost, there is how many weeks? 7 weeks. So that's 50 days. That's less than 2 months, okay? Between Passover and Pentecost. So let's give it 2 months. Let's say 2 months or less after these priests and Sadducees and all these people, they got Yeshua killed by the Romans. Less than 2 months after that, the disciples are on the temple steps. You can read that in Acts 5. The disciples are on the temple steps, and they're talking freely about Yeshua. And the priests took them, and they were going to do bad things to them. I forgot the details. They were just lashing them, or they were going to put them in jail, or whatever. But where I'm going there is that it says, but they didn't because of the fear of the people. Because already the believers had a great reputation. So less than 2 months before, they didn't care, unabashedly bring Yeshua to the cross. And less than 2 months later, they don't even dare touch his disciples because of the people. Because it's after the resurrection that the whole thing exploded. Even when Paul came back from Galatia, James tells him, I think it's Acts 22, he says, look at Jerusalem, it's full of people who are believers and keepers of Torah. Look, Jerusalem is full of believers. The priests were afraid. They says, oh gosh, the whole world is after them. It was really successful. But what gave the seed of success was the death and resurrection. After that, it exploded. This is when in Acts 13, why they wanted to kill James and some of the leaders, because we can't have this going on. They're going to have the blood of this man on our hands. Yeah, do. So it was very successful. It gave birth to that, and then the disciple eventually went around into all the world. So what's the fish about? The fish is always representative of a lot of people, a school of fish. You can't even count it. And the fish has always been a representation of Israel too. So we'll get back to that too. It's always been a representation of Israel as the people of God. Even king of gods, like somebody who throws his net and catches fish. So shall be fishers of men. So though Yeshua stopped being present in the world, he's the goat who died. The goat turned into fish because the presence of Yeshua on earth is the congregation. The multitudes of people who make the congregation. We are the multitudes that eventually cover in the book of Acts already the Pharisees were saying the world has gone after them. They were complaining of their success. You know, they tried so much to make people believe in God, but when people saw those religious people, they went, oh, stay away. But with the disciples, the world had gone after them. I know it's hyperbolic, but it does mean something. So we have the goat turned fish, and the fish represent the presence of the congregation. And this is all really Jewish imagery. Judaism uses a lot of imagery. The Psalms use a lot of imagery, Proverbs. So, and the friends of the sea goat, you might say, well, we need two witnesses. So here we have the witnesses, the witnessing here. This is his friends. You know, so let's see, what do I have here? Okay, so first you have this one is a flying eagle. He's not falling, this one. And you have the arrow that goes through the sky. So, sorry, it is a falling eagle. There's another one later on. Because the falling eagle was actually pierced by the arrow of God's will. In Isaiah, we read, surely he has borne our grief, carried our sorrows. We esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, afflicted, but he was pierced. The word pierced is used here. Also in Psalms, your arrows have sunk into me. And, you know, it's the arrows of God's will. He submitted to God's will. And sometimes to answer to God's will doesn't always take us to a place of comfort. Sometimes it takes us to a place of discomfort. Just because it's not comfortable doesn't mean it's not God's will. But look at what happens next here. The next one is the dolphin. The dolphin. Now, the word dolphin in Arabic, which is very close to Aramaic and Hebrew, is dalaf. Dalaf. Dolphin. I have a book at home called The Hebrew Origins of the English Language. It's amazing what you find in there. A dolphin, the word dalaf in Arabic, from where the word dolphin comes from, is something that emerges from the water. You can see a dolphin, they go up and down, you know. They emerge from the water. And that's very symbolic because emergence from water is what immersion is all about. The waters represent either the water that we were in and we come out of the water born again. That's what immersion is all about. And so here we have that goat. Do we have it there? That goat changed fish, and we see the story in the eagle, the falling eagle, pierced by the arrow, but reemerges triumphant out of the water. That's death and resurrection. And again, those stories are from the names of the stars. Does that make sense a little bit? And so, and this fish, the goat fish, we see it later in the next, I told you we'd go faster. That's Aquarius. Aquarius. You see the sign of Aquarius, you see there is a man pouring water and there is a fish under him. This one actually shows him pouring water on the fish. You know, I think these pictures are where they were more real, these ones are more Greek, you know, so the story continues. The fish really is the congregation. The Kehillah, the congregation, the body of Messiah. his presence on earth. The fish used to be an early believer's sign. People still use it today. So. And can we see a better example of that than when than when we read Acts 2? One of the first thing that he did was the Spirit was poured on the disciples. Okay? And what was the purpose of the pouring of the Spirit on the disciple? Was it for just us to play around and have fun doing spiritual things, prophesying and doing this or this and that? Was it just for an amusement to just prove to us, have God in me, look, I have the Spirit, I can do this. There's some people in the South, they're called the serpent, the snake holders or something like this. They want to prove they have the Spirit because they say, it says, you shall handle snakes and they won't hurt you, So these guys, part of their service is to have a box of snakes, poisonous snakes, and to hold it, And they got bit. It's like, it's in the South somewhere, a group like this. It gives us the Spirit, but it's not to play around with snakes. At least I don't think so. But here is a couple of verses about this, about the water here. The water poured on the fish. How lovely are your tents, Yaakov, your encampments, Israel. They spread out like valleys, like garden by the riverside, like succulent aloes planted by Adonai, like cedar trees next to the water. Water will flow from their branches. Water will flow from their branches. Their seed will have water aplenty. Their king will be higher than Agag, and his kingdom lifted high. And then in Isaiah, there is coming a king who will reign justly, and princes who will rule uprightly. A man will be like a refuge from the wind, like protection from a storm, like streams of water on arid ground, like a rock cliff shading a very weary land. He sends the water. But why? You see, this is that day of Shavuot. Happens at Shavuot. But why? Why does he give us that? So those are the two next friends. See, you say, well, there's two. You say there are always three. Yes. There is the Aquarius man. The first one is the fish. The first of the three friends is the fish. Then you have the Pegasus, the winged horse, running very fast. And the swan flying through the air. And I put there Acts 1 through 6. Because what happened there is going to tell them what is the purpose of that. And it's in Acts, it says, when they were together, they asked Yeshua, Lord, are you at this time going to restore self-rule to Israel? So here he was resurrected. He thought maybe we'll get some more information about that. He said, you don't need to know the dates or the times. The Father has kept these under his own authority. It seems like already then, people were obsessed in trying to find this out. People are always obsessed. They want to be able to. And they say, I want to be ready. That's what. No, that's not why. If you know the date, it's like knowing the result of a test. The test is to be ready though you don't know the date. So you be ready at all time. If you say, well, it's going to come back in 5 years, well, in the meantime, do what I want for 5 years. But when he comes, I'll straighten up. No. So he says, you don't. And on top of it, he had already told them before. They asked him in Matthew 24 and in many places, when is that going to happen? They're asking the question in different ways. Maybe he's going to give us something. But he had already told them. I don't even know. Only the Father knows, and he reserves that knowledge for himself. That's what he answered them. But I guess they wanted to try again before he leaves. They gave it out. Can't blame people for trying, right? But he gave them the same answer. But he added something else that sounded like the old adage, let the main thing remain the main thing. Sometimes we forget what is the main thing. Our main thing is not to be able to prophesy and to know when that's going to happen and impress people with knowledge and wisdom. He said, and then he gives the reason why he gives the Spirit. He says, don't worry about the date of my return, but you will receive power when the Ruach HaKodesh comes upon you. You will be my witnesses. Now this is why we have that power. There is really only one reason. You shall be witnesses both in Jerusalem and all Yehuda, in Shomron, indeed to the ends of the earth. And Paul totally fulfilled that. In the days of Paul, the Roman Empire was to the end of the earth. And he did go all the way there, even went all the way back, all the way to Spain. So the West was there. Somebody, a Sephardic Messianic guy who wrote a book, To the End of the Earth, talking about Spain and the extreme westward of the Roman Empire. So basically, like, through the Spirit, yes, we get this talent. It's like having a credit card from the company. And we're supposed to use that credit card whenever we use the company truck or we do company events or something. But it's not to put gas in our own car or go to parties, take our families to Hawaii or something. When we do that, we steal from the company. And that talent, that spirit that it gives us, it's not to do things to supply for our own self, to impress our friends. Yeah, I got the spirit, who can hold snakes? It's for the mission of being a witness. First in Jerusalem, you see it goes concentric. First in Jerusalem, Judea. And then he includes a part that where there is enemies of Jews, Samaria. In Samaria, say, yeah, even to your enemies. I'm sorry, even to your enemies, yeah. You got to tell them about eternal life, And to the whole world, that means the Romans now. Everybody. It took them about 30 years to all leave. We all mostly have stories about Paul, but there is other stories actually, and we're going to go through some of those during the new cycle of Torah Club. Philip was in Egypt, I think, and another one was in Greece. Peter was in Babylon. Thomas was in India. If you go to India, you see Thomas Hill is where he got martyred. They went to a lot of places. Joseph of Arimathea took all the disciples to England. And there is an abbey of Joseph of Arimathea in England. And this is where the whole stories of the Holy Grail come from. It's originated. It's like they did go everywhere in a book called Ecclesiastical History by Eusebius. You read a lot about John. When he was he was the leader of the seventh congregation that we read in Revelation 2 and 3. We read about his lifestyle, how he wanted to eat kosher, how he dealt. He was old, but he was working in a Roman bathhouse. He didn't want to be in charge of the congregation. It's kind of amazing what they did, but they all went. And today if we go to somewhere, we know we have our bank accounts, we can find what we need. But in those days, for a Jew to leave, that means he can never find kosher meat. They all became either pescatarians or vegetarian or vegans or whatever, because to find kosher meat, this is what Paul talks about in Romans 14. Or, they're not used to have idols everywhere you walk. And, it's like I lived in India, and in Thailand, everywhere you walk, you have a little temple, a little this, a little, it's like, whoa. And for Jews of those days, that was very complicated. So it was to go outside the world, said, no, I want to stay nice in Israel. It's nice and cozy. It was difficult. But they did go. And from their message, the message was spread very fast around the world, like a horse with wing. They represent a message going out. The horse with wing and the swan maybe by airplanes now or something like that. But it represents the message of Messiah going all around the world. And it was very successful. And that's the reason today the whole Western world, I would say, most of the Western world believes in Yeshua because of their work. And it was very fast. They did it very fast. And then the rest of the story we'll study at Torah Club. But we'll go to the next constellation tonight. So Abba Father, we thank you for the people who have preserved this information so that we can enjoy it today. Help us to always know that you give us your spirit for the sole mission of being witnesses unto you in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, even unto the ends of the earth. Shem Yeshua Mashiach, Amen.